You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
This makes my nipples hard.
Hey there, and thanks for tuning in. Anna and Paul are here to talk about adventure game series.
It's weird.
I mean, it's super. This is way out of our wheelhouse. This is an entirely different subject. Adventure game series, we've come up with a couple of fun questions, and we're going to bandy them about and talk about things to do with series. How do you describe this, Paul? Help.
I was actually just playing with my very tiny nipples when you said that. And I didn't realize I was. It was kind of like a zoned out thing. Anyway.
Gary did tell you to.
Really?
Well, at least his were hard, so...
Oh, right. The intro. Right.
Right.
Because that's our show that we're on right now. And who should know that better than me, who's on it, and put that there. Okay, great. Fantastic. Yes, because Gary said so. Mm-hmm. This is going to go good, though. That'll be the one blunder of my performance during this episode. You'll see. It's all uphill from here. Or downhill. I'm not really sure, because downhill sounds negative because it's down, but that's the hill you want to...
It's easier.
Yeah, you can just coast, especially if you're on a bike. Like, you don't have to do anything.
Got some flow.
Right.
I was thinking about that. There was a road near here where they just put all these bike lanes on it, but it's like the biggest hill in the whole city. When I walked up it, I remember it took 45 minutes and it felt like a desert. I'm like, why would you put a bike lane here on the biggest hill in the whole city? But it must be for the down, not the up.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I appreciate your energy there. The back in my day, I had to walk 45 minutes both ways kind of vibe. That was
so much work.
Well, that is how time works. I guess it would be 45 both ways.
We didn't have water. Like, we didn't bring water bottles. And I was out looking for rocks for my dad with my friend Julie. And we were looking on the beach for colored rocks so he could grind them and make them into paint like the Buddha guy taught him. And so we were going back up the hill.
What is going on?
And we'd already been gone for hours. Wait. Hours and hours, and I felt like we were in the desert. It was the middle of summer. It was a lot.
You just transported all of us back 400 years in the story, where you're grinding up rocks for pigment and talking to yogis and shit. That was wild.
That's island living.
Anyway, that's the last time Anna took mushrooms.
And yet she was only 11. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So can you tell them why they're here, please?
Oh yeah. For some of this. And then we're also going to say stuff about the topic that you're... Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about series, adventure game series. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I was promised a inauthentic laugh when I repeated that joke that I said off air. So if you don't mind,
it was there. It was like when you edit it later, you'll hear it.
I just appreciate the genuine laugh I got in result to that. That was unexpectedly delightful. All right, well we were going to talk about the best first entry in an adventure game series, and maybe the worst too. But then, I don't know, that just seemed really like kind of rigid and a little limited. And I'm like, if we're going to talk about series, then we should just open it up to a general discussion surrounding series. So we have all these questions. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. Did I do a good job with that? Do people now know what we're doing? I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, jeez, man. It must have been really bad because you're Canadian and that was... Jesus Christ. Okay.
It was okay.
Yeah, it's like you forgot to try, you know? God.
I try so hard to be honest always.
That's as close to a no as you'll ever get from Anna, I imagine. God. I mean, it wasn't good, but that doesn't inherently mean bad.
Yeah.
We're going to talk
you
about
called yourself out partway through, so I just wasn't sure.
But today's episode is less, fine-tuned, well-researched, which I don't know that any of our episodes are, but it's less that and more just an open discussion on adventure game series. So we're sitting here, we've got like 10 questions to ponder between ourselves and y'all, and then we've also next to us have a list of adventure game series, and we're just we're gonna shoot the whatever. Mm-hmm. So first thing I want to say to get out of the way is I'm going to impose a really unfair rule for this episode. Not unfair, but I'm gonna include by series. I'm going to include games that only had 2 releases.
Right.
2 and I know. it's there's something about just being two of them that doesn't feel like a series. You feel like you need at least a trilogy. It needs to be at least 3, but there's not a lot of those in classic adventure games. First of all,
No.
and there is a lot of just two of them got released. So fuck it, why not?
I'm going to add to that too. If it would have had a potential release, I'm including it.
Okay, right. That's fun. We could at least that covers off some of the on the LucasArts side, as I was realizing with researching for this episode. They had a lot of would have been series that never happened. So
Oh, cool. Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing.
I don't
about
have
that
the
too.
information. No, I just
Jeez.
jeez, he immediately fucking put me on the hook for that. I don't. I promise nothing to anybody about anything. We're just.
So question number 1, which adventure series had the best first game? Now this was great because I got these questions from Paul and I'm like, oh, obviously I don't need to research. There is only one answer to this question.
Yeah.
There never will be another answer to this question. And this is the only correct answer. And the only slight variance is still within the same series. And that would be Heroes Quest, EGA, at this point. Because it not only jumps you into the adventure game series, like that genre, but it jumps you into the RPG genre using like humor and adventure to trick you into caring about stats and combat and magic. And it was like a consistent series all the way through. Like the first game was the apex that all the other games bounced off of. Like you were always able to save your character at the end of the game. You were always able to bring up your luck or throw rocks and things like that. So it is the whole series. And you get to play it as you, like right from the beginning. And it shows you that you can take different paths to get to different places. It had all those character classes. There is no better entry ever. So that's the end. You don't even need to answer, Paul. I'm done.
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, I don't appreciate your censorship over my choices. No, I'm going to say that you are. I think what you're trying to say. Tell me if this is correct. You feel that Quest for Glory best established the IP. Mm-hmm. Like it's set like a consistent tone that we're going to get, and because I think I agree to that when it comes to the. Yeah, because even Monkey Island, like they hand off writers. Like for example, Monkey Island 3, they go in a completely different direction than Ron. So yeah, I think Quest for Glory might be the series that is like the most well thought out, like had the most foresight. Mm-hmm. We're like, okay, we're playing the long game here. We're gonna, a series that, for example, probably had maybe the worst foresight would be Space Quest, because in the first Space Quest you could name your character as if you were going to be your character, and then they're like, never mind, it's Roger Wilco from now on, and we're even going to switch from calling it Space Quest to calling it Roger Wilco. I mean, you know what I mean. They didn't actually switch, but like the boxes, right? All the box art, like in Space Quest 4 onwards, they switched to Roger Wilco. Meanwhile, in Game 1, like there was no Roger Wilco, so that's the opposite of what Quest for Glory was doing there. So on those grounds, I think you are technically correct.
And VGA is there to fill in any gaps for the best first in a series for people that are not interested in parser games, which is why I believe those two games together can be the apex or the crux of the best first entry in a series, no matter what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to give you that. I think it is the most like well thought out, in it for the long run. Almost as if, I don't know. It's like when people make TV shows and like they've signed a contract for a whole season, like they can plan for the whole season. And Quest for Glory did that the best. A lot of other games give the vibe that they were never sure if there was going to be a second game. And to be fair, they weren't sure, or it wasn't even the plan, but it took off. And anyway, that eventually becomes apparent. Whereas Quest for Glory, from beginning to end, comes across that way. Now, that being said, I do have my own pick that's different than that. So I think your pick's probably better. But emotionally speaking, for myself personally, I give it to Gabriel Knight. Yeah. Because it's just, I think Gabriel Knight Sins of the Fathers is one of the probably top 3 adventure games of all time, and it happens to be in a series, and the first in the series, so therefore I just have to pick it.
Right.
Good. Okay, so that was, I mean, this whole episode was going to be that and one other question. So I'm really glad we opened this up because
Yeah, no, that would have been a
halfway done.
short-ass episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, question 2. I'll read it, you answer first. Which had the first... No, that's not how you read the question. Which had the worst first game but got dramatically better?
Right. And I thought this was fun because I wouldn't have even known the answer to this question before I started watching Space Quest Historian stream some of the other games in this series. But I'm definitely going to answer the Tex Murphy games. They started out at the very beginning in like 1989. And they had that Mean Streets game. And the Mean Streets was like this much adventure you can't see, but I'm holding my fingers like a little wee tadger, just very close. Sorry, that's the wrong term, but very close together. And it just was very, very action oriented. It was very like, I when I was watching him play, there was like a lot of combat and there was a lot of like working through numbers and addresses. And there was no like scene-based puzzle solving. And it was kind of like the interface was really different. But then all of a sudden you've got Martian Memorandum. It started being a little bit more like an adventure game. You started talking to people, and I played that one, and I really liked that. But then my first one I experienced was Under a Killing Moon, and by that time, you're like full-on FMV kind of a game. You've got Chris Jones, who I absolutely loved on the screen. It was really, really funny. It really sort of pushed more into that wild Space Quest like but slightly raunchier, slightly darker sense of humor, and the game was so huge, and I think like by the time it got to Under a Killing Moon, Tex Murphy kind of had an identity, and yeah, it got there. But that first one was almost like a hybrid adventure action game, and it didn't really appeal to me in the same way when I checked it out after.
That's a great answer. It really is, because yeah, it's almost like the weird forgotten, I don't know, bastard child of the Tex Murphy series or whatever. It gets completely disassociated from like the larger body of work, like Memorandum and Killing Moon and Pandora Directive and such. Good choice, good shout.
Thank you.
I don't know. I have kind of two answers. A quick alternate version of my answer might look like this: The Legend of Kryrandia. Do you know how to say it?
I've never even played it.
Okay. That's how far I am from pronouncing this motherfucker. I don't even know. Okay, Kyrandia. That's probably it. I think it's like The Legend of, and it's like book 1. And that's the worst entry to a series, not in that the rest of the series gets dramatically better, in that when I was done playing it, I was like, fuck this, I'm not playing the rest of the series.
Whoa. That I've heard that the second, like I've heard people say the second one is better than they're in books and that they got better over time.
Yeah.
But I have no proof of that. I wish I'd played Discworld. I'd like to put Discworld in as an entry for us to play sometime, just so that I can reference it, because I feel like we could talk about that sometimes.
I feel the same way about Simon the Sorcerer.
Me too, yeah. The first one, we should probably play both of those. You can get them as an app, too.
Yeah, man, yeah. That was as boomer as I've ever heard you sound, by the way. Just want to point, you can get them as an app, It's
You just touch the screen and you can make the character walk all the way from this place. No, wait. Once you leave the room, whole different place.
Where are my readers? I can't see what I'm typing here.
Here, zoom it in a little. You ever watch that? Like people that I'm not going to specify which groups of people, but you see them and they're using their phones and the type text is so big. One message fills up almost the whole screen. And I'm just like, even if my eyes were bad, I don't think I could comprehend what was happening with 7 words on the screen at one time.
Yeah, it just looks like such a struggle, too. Like the amount of squinting and the physical posturing.
It's a lot of work.
I like how you protected the identity of all old people. You're like, I'm not going to name names here, the specific group, but, every old person.
It's because I'm old now, too, so I just feel like I'm supposed to, then what am I included? Once you are old, what's the line for old? Like, that's all. And I don't want to call people out generationally, so. That's okay.
I think the line is when you say something like "no cap" and you're like, "Ooh, I sounded really old saying that." I guess I'm now cut out of the new slang. I don't get to.
Oh, that's funny. I just said that to James, but like we were joking about putting caps on things, and I was hoping he would get the double entendre, but he didn't.
Oh,
and I'm like,
that's also how you know you're old, when your husband doesn't get the reference.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, no cap, and I'm like,
We've aged.
yeah, so much so. So what's your answer to?
I do like cooked though. I want that one. I want to be able to use that one. It's that one works. It's
It's okay because it's been around a while. People wouldn't even notice. Like, you're cooked, man.
Yeah.
You just have to know that what usage you're using it in. Is it the now or was it the then?
Phew. I'm not going to embarrass myself by answering wrong on this podcast, so
Okay.
I'll answer the question instead, which was, that's right. I was talking shit about Kryrandia or whatever, and then my actual answer, I did forget the question though. Hold on.
Worst.
Right. The worst.
Most change over the course of the series. Worst game, but got dramatically better.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Kryrandia is a bad answer because it doesn't acknowledge the second hand of the question. Yeah. Okay.
No.
The worst first game is King's Quest. Like by far.
I wanted to say, okay, so that was I have it written here, my first answer, but I was like, because it was the beginning of the rest of it, I had to give it forgiveness for not being what it could be and being what it was, and I exited it out of my answer.
Yeah, damn it, actually, because that's a really good point. It makes me feel bad picking on King's Quest, because it was 1984. Like, man, it was quite a feat that they've even pulled this game off. And for me to look back on it and be like, oh, you could have done better. Yeah. Really, it's King's Quest 2 that's the disappointment, because they just did one all over again. But
it's like Mario, and then Mario 2, which became the Lost Levels, was essentially Mario 1 again, but it was too difficult for North America, which is why we got Mario 2, which was Doki Doki Panic, obviously, which is why it's so different from every other game in the series.
Right. Okay, that's cool. I had heard that once many years ago. Thank you for resurrecting it from the bowels of my memory. I don't know why. I don't know why.
I was really watching a video about Lou Albino and how he was Mario in the old, like, for the cartoon, the voice and in between. And the only reason that they were able to get all those awesome celebrities on the show was because he was already friends with them from his wrestling career.
Nice. You know what's a fun fact? In my memory, I always mix up Lou Albino with Ron Jeremy. Like they're
oh my god, I can see it.
They're like interchangeable, so you can like put Mario in the middle of a.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
yeah. So man.
Okay.
That's Sorry,
so
sorry,
King's
Quest. It's just if I'm being a little bit cold and just looking at it from how great the last one was to how crude the first one was, King's Quest is the only answer.
All right. Well then, I'd like us to talk about a series that changed the most from its first entry, and my answer is King's Quest.
Oh, nice. Very good. Okay.
Definitely, because you've got exactly what you're talking about. It's like it's an AGI game. There's a little map, and it's kind of based in the world of fairy tales a little bit more. Yeah. And as you progress through the series, you end up like by the fourth one, which would be the first one that I played, you've got an actual storyline, you've got a female lead, but you're still sticking in the family and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then number 5, all of a sudden it's changed again, right? You've got your hand-painted backgrounds and stuff. You're no longer typing in it. And then the 6th one, it kept kind of consistent. But then in the 7th one, it turns into a Disney cartoon and you can pick your chapter. And then in the 8th one, it turns into like a 3D, and then it's Connor, and then it's an RPG game, and it's just like, what series is this? Like, tell me a single person that's going to look at the first game, and then the 5th game, and the 6th game, and then the 7th or the 8th, and even think any of them were from the same series. Right. That's ridiculous to think that.
I don't want to spoil an answer to another question, but it doesn't matter. I'll just say that there's no more of an inconsistent series in that sense in King's Quest, because the protagonist constantly changes. Sticking with your answer and your point, I think maybe that is the ideal answer also, because really, I mean, you could go out on the streets and to people who don't know video games and just show them King's Quest 1 and King's Quest 8, like a screenshot. And like they would that makes the case. Like, do these look anything at all like the same game? Like, of course not. They've and it's more than just visual, right? Because you change like from Graham to Connor, and it's not even really an adventure game anymore by the 8th one. And
yeah, there's no. It's not really, the conversations aren't the same. It's just it just became a totally different game. There's no way, which is why so many people are like, what? That's not even in the same series. And we know Sierra does that. They did it with Quest for Glory. They did it with Space Quest. They do it with all the series because it's going to change graphically over time. But there's a certain consistency with the other series that I felt King's Quest, and maybe because it was such a passion project of Roberta's, and it was such a big deal that it needed to be something special. Like, was the King's Quest series the Chinese Democracy, as in the album by Axl Rose that was supposed to be the best album ever, which is why it took like 20 freaking years to come out, and why he had put his everything into it, and then all of a sudden it comes out and you're like, what is this hodgepodge? I don't even understand what's happening here, and you're not getting any earworms out of it at all.
yeah, that's wonderful. That's King's Quest 8 is Chinese Democracy. Well said. That's not Slash. Who put this bucket head here? It's just not the it's not the right anything.
No.
Great, yeah, really, 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 really good answer. You bring up an interesting point. Let's do a side quest talk real quick. That something I was thinking about while putting this together is the interesting dynamic of adventure games is that they evolved as computers evolved, and so therefore we got to see all these series change drastically as they went along. Right, not as a design choice, but just in efforts to maximize the available software and performance of computers of the time. So, you know, when we started out in EGA, we were stuck with 16 colors, and then as soon as adventure games could, they jumped on the 32 color. Well, 32 would have been like Atari. But anyway, you know, I guess really for the majority of people using PCs, then adventure games went from 16 colors to 256 colors in the VGA era, and then the resolution doubles. And anyway, this is all just to say, like, none of this was a design choice. They were always just maxing out the performance of computers at the time. And I think to anybody who didn't understand a fascination with adventure games, then that is a small but significant little example of part of the fascination, right? Where like they were always working within the limitations of the software, and so therefore, you know, when a new game in a series came out, it would look completely different than the last one, or maybe this time it would all of a sudden it would have voice acting, or let's take it back even further. It would start out as a text parser, so you have to type in "open door" to open a door, and then, you know, one day the game ships and it's got a point and click interface where you can just click on the door, and all of a sudden the soundtrack isn't bleeps and bloops, but it's actually like a decent little. So anyway, I think that's an interesting part of adventure games that I've never really articulated out loud, and also it plays a weird factor in trying to answer some of these questions, because they all changed drastically from the first to the last, just based on
little.
Like most of the Sierra ones, for example, started on AGI and ended in SCI, and so they were just so different from typing commands to pointing and clicking to, in some cases, Disney-like cartoons, and in other cases 3-dimensional.
Whatever the hells they were.
Yeah, exactly.
They sure tried.
So anyway, that being said, what did I pick? I picked Space Quest. I didn't. There is no past tense either. I'm off the cuff here with most of my answers, but yeah, Space Quest. Space Quest, because this was something that was pointed out to me by Rick, who used to do the show with us. For anybody who doesn't know or has wondered, maybe people have gone back and listened to him and like, who's that guy and where'd he go? But Rick always used to make a point that was really, really good, and I don't think I really would have necessarily caught on to it on my own. But it was that Space Quest 1 is actually kind of dark and intense. And it's not, like, maybe that oversells it, but it's certainly not a parody like Space Quest 4, 5, and 6
It didn't
are.
get to that till later, for sure. So
Yeah.
5 was really, like 4 was, but 5 was really a parody.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like just a lot of, pop culture references and jokes and parodying and playing on stereo. It was, it's a jokey series. Whereas Space Quest 1, and I suppose 2 as well, Yeah, well. Let's just stick with one because I just don't even really like two very much. But with one, like there was a darkness. There was there was intense moments. Towards the end of the game when you're running from. Okay, to be fair, it was like a parody of Alien, so it's not like it completely changed, right? It did have parody elements, but still, it was like. It captured like the scarier side of being alone in space in darkness with an alien clanging on metal trying to chase you, and
The
it was
feeling of it all very well.
yeah, thank you. Just like the feel, man, the fucking vibes. Like it was just a slightly more serious. There you go, slightly more serious experience. Than the rest of them, and it was cool to see them actually gain an identity as they went. They're like, actually, no, we're not going to have them type in their names. We're going to make it Roger Wilco, damn it, and then they kind of developed Roger and blah blah blah, and that's probably I could save some of that for another discussion.
Like with the comics and the whole it became a universe, and even the people that made the game, the two guys from Andromeda and their costumes and all of it became a part of the lore, the books and the words that went in with it. It really, Space Quest in a way captured, I think, people's imaginations very special, like in a very, very wide schemed way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well said. So yeah, that's that. Okay, next question. Which bloody question am I on? It is
which series
stayed the most true to itself or the most consistent? Same thing.
Right. So do you want to answer that or do you want me to?
I mean, I could let you off the hook and say it's probably definitely Quest for Glory.
Well, technically it is, but I didn't answer that.
Oh, okay. All right. Way to have some self-control. Nice.
Why, thank you. Yeah, well, I was going to say in voice Larry, technically, but it's not what I picked. The less manly games, because they were consistently shitty all the way through.
Got him.
I was just like, oh, this one's bad. How about this one? Oh, it's also okay, great. So now we know the series and we know how it is. But then I was thinking Laura Bow, because it's like it's the period, it's the fact that it's the same person, but she's grown up, and just because the series changed formats. And you went from parser to the VGA, like she still is watching all these people die and not stopping them from dying.
Yeah.
She still is doing her little notepad and going around and being nosy and asking questions, and shit's always happening around her. Because I couldn't answer Monkey Island.
Man, you're
right?
describing Lara like she's my spirit animal, by the way.
Yeah. So I don't know. And she's always been in danger, right? And I don't know. To me, that I would say I know there's only 2 entries in the series, but that would be my pick.
It's interesting, this question. I don't have an answer. I'm going off the cuff here. I think from here on out pretty much. But it's like it shows almost a weak spot in adventure game series is because they have a really hard time staying consistent. Like, as I'm looking down the list, like a Police Quest sprung to mind, where it's just like, okay, it's always been quite procedural and things like that, and this is me not doing a good job of masking my son.
Police
going
Quest
in the fridge.
can't. Oh, Police Quest can't be there because of SWAT. If anything,
Right.
I didn't give this series as an answer, but I could have put this series into a few different slots, because much like King's Quest in our previous question, it did not keep its identity. And I guess because I keep discounting SWAT as even being in the series, and I just keep thinking Police Quest 1 to 3, but even the third one didn't really follow in the same vein as the first 2. It was kind of its own deal in a few funny ways as well. But the direction that it went, like, that series did not stay consistent.
No, thank you for saying all that coherently. Did you hear the way my son shut the door? Now I have to edit that. Unbelievable. That's gonna cost me 42 seconds. And quit slamming the goddamn door. I think that's from Friday. I don't know, but it's been in my head for at least 2 decades. And so anyway, thank you for covering for me on Police Quest, because that's everything I was trying to say. Was like I was immediately like, oh, it's got to be Police Quest, nice and consistent. You're just a cop following the rules and open season. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you're not Sonny Bonds anymore. You're
Yep.
I don't even remember where they switched from. To those who don't know, Police Quest designers switched from Jim Wallace, who was a small-town police officer that the owner Sierra heard about while getting his haircut, and was like, sure, I'll hire him to make video games. And that went as well as you might think it would, as well as it would sound. I mean, thankfully they assigned Al Lowe to the case, who actually made Police Quest one of my favorite games. But boy, there's some funny stories about Jim Walls, the police officer, being a game dev for the first time. But that being said, right, so they switched from Jim Walls when he left to go to Tsunami to do Blue Force. They brought in Daryl Gates. And if that name's familiar, not to you because of Police Quest, but because of the world events, he was the officer behind the...
L.A. riot.
Yeah. All that stuff going on. So anyway, not Police Quest. That's not the answer. Lara Bo's a good shout. I had a different answer I was going to throw out there that I was going to say, because I really don't have an answer, right? So how do you feel about Leisure Suit Larry for an answer?
Well, that was my first sort of one. In voice was Larry. I said it's most true to itself and consistent because Larry's kind of a schleppy guy that's had his tries and tribulations, and it was consistent all the way through voice-wise through every single game in the series. Like, he didn't all of a sudden become suave. You weren't all of a sudden playing Larry's nephew. It was either Larry or it was Patty all the way through the series.
Yeah, and like he is who he is like the entire time. There's like a really sweet, tender moment at the end of 3 where he's like a married guy and just wants to be happy. And you know, honestly, damn you, Patty, because I think
she fucked him over. Man.
Yeah, I think
bitch.
who knows? He might still be there with her now if she hadn't have done that. But yeah, all right, that'll work. I'm going with Larry. He starts out, you know, he's in a leisure suit. He ends in a leisure suit.
Yep, all the way down the line. Moving on, we're going to ask a question for the kids. Which series had the biggest glow up?
Right. Speaking of, should we be saying this type of slang or not at this point?
Yeah.
Which series had the biggest glow up? Do you have an answer first?
Sure. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. And this is also a personal choice, but I believe it's also a visual aesthetic and a time-based aesthetic. So this one is a multi-dimensional answer. And I'm going to definitely say Maniac Mansion to Day of the Tentacle through to the Day of the Tentacle remake, because it's had a few glow-ups all the way through. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they not only glowed up the game, improved the graphics, gave you the ability to switch between the two, but you can go and play Maniac Mansion within Day of the Tentacle. So... it's got voice acting later on. I think it really tightened up the navigation and the puzzle structure. It really made it funnier and way easier to manage. Like, because I had, like, my little runner-up would have kind of been, like, maybe Last Crusade to Fate of Atlantis, because it really formed its own identity instead of just, it was like copying the movie was practice, but then Fate of Atlantis was the real thing.
Yeah, good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, so those were the way, like, I mean, because I'd contemplated Monkey Island 1 to 2, but then I was like, it doesn't work all the way through the series consistently, because I don't think that every other entry in the series was necessarily a glow-up. Yeah,
I really like your answer, the Maniac Mansion to Day of the Tentacle. That's good. A jokey answer for me would be Police Quest 1 to Police Quest 2 Japanese version.
Yeah, that is amazing. Clearly the correct answer.
The moment adventure games peaked. Indiana Jones is a great answer too. I think I just want to steal that one from you since you got the Maniac Mansion one, because I don't think I could do better than that.
Mm-hmm. I did actually, like, I had originally just been doing best and the worst in the series, and I was about halfway done kind of researching stuff, and I got this message saying, hey, let's look at these other questions. And so I ended up getting deep lost in thinking about it, pulling out my games, looking stuff up. I ended up having a lot more fun with this than I thought.
It's tough. Monkey Island is tempting because, I mean, Curse of Monkey Island is so gorgeous. It's such, but then it gets really horrible looking again in Escape, right? And then the controversial graphics of the Return to Monkey Island. Like, yeah, okay, that one's not a linear glowing up.
It's such a long, it would be like talking about, I know you haven't watched Red Dwarf, but it'd be like, as the series, it definitely didn't have a glow up because it started amazing, got amazinger, got even more amazing, and now, like, here they are. It started in the 80s. It's 2026, and they're still putting out a new season. Wow. As you can imagine, the cast not being animated has not been glowing up.
Right.
Yeah. even if the budget has.
Like, please let us go home. I can't.
Yeah, the red dwarf has gone gray.
I would say, I don't know. Yeah, I think Indiana Jones is maybe the definitive answer. I really like that. Phantasmagoria, I was tempted to say, but that feels unfair. It feels like that's to misunderstand the point of the series, which was to be, a Twilight Zone. Each entry is a completely different story. So like, and I mean, they're both FMVs, so it doesn't really graphically glow up. It just, the story does, right? That's a huge improvement, but... I don't really, yeah. I guess because even Indiana Jones, I don't know. I really, really like Last Crusades, but you make a good more like, I don't know.
They had the Last Crusade was good as a game. It just, all it had to do was represent itself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the first Larry game. As great as it was, Al had to create an identity for Larry and put graphics to an adventure that was already written because the game was already made. So really, Larry didn't come into his own or get his own personality until the second game plus in the series, because it didn't have to before that.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to agree with you. Maniac to Day of the Tentacle is the best answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
So the next one is, which series had the steepest drop-off?
Right. And I will not say Quest for Glory 5. I will never say that. Just know. But I will have to give this one to King's Quest again. Just again because of the change, right? From the first one, like all of a sudden at the end of the series, you get cartoon stuff for one, which doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden you have a new lead and everything's 3D and you're thinking about your health. And if you've never played Quest for Glory, especially, I think it would have hit even harder, like the drop off in this game, because it's darker and it's like fantasy focused, and it doesn't even feel like the next chapter in the family saga at all, really.
Yeah.
I think like I'm not going to say that because that's an answer to another question, but no, it doesn't make any sense to me. It dropped off and hard and fast. Anybody they didn't lose with the 7th one, they definitely lost with the 8th, unless you discovered the 7th game first and fell in love with it because you've never played a game that was so Disney-like and you love that idea.
Yeah, but you're still not going to like 8 though.
No, either way. I mean, and again, I liked 8 because of the Quest for Glory influence. That's how powerful that series is. It can make Mask of Eternity a good game.
Right.
Just like that.
Well said. I don't know. I think you have the right answer, but I'll say I guess for my own personal experience, Police Quest was a bummer. I really liked that series, and then the third one was just really underwhelming. It was.
It wasn't what I was expecting, and I remember sitting there going, "But what about my people and my
Where's
characters
Keith?
and where's everybody? What's going on?"
Yeah, where the fuck is Keith, man? It's like Izzy, where Izzy Stradlin? Just Keith wasn't there, man. I don't know. I really, really liked the first 2 games a lot. They were like important to me, I guess you could say. Like the way that we get defensive of our little, of our fiction, whether it's, I don't know, some people get that way with like Star Wars or Harry Potter or whatever. It's like, that's like my little world and I really like it. And then the third one was just a bummer. And that's without considering open season, which, gets rid of the protagonist altogether. And so, I'll go Police Quest just to be a little different.
I've never felt so much power, motivation, and disappointment in one series.
Right, yeah.
And they took away the humor that was in the first one. The taking off your clothes, the funny things in the bathroom, those little touches that made it connect with the Larryverse and that kind of thing. It got so serious.
It did.
So it definitely changed. It shifted.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a really fine articulation of maybe the biggest problem between 2 and 3. Like 2 still kept a little bit of goofiness in there, a little bit of that I don't know, that silly Sierra sort of vibe, and then it just got too serious.
It did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So which series then, dare I pose as I try to find my place on this paper, that's not a paper and is just on my screen, but anyway... Enough backdrop on how I'm reading the question. On to the question. Which series peaked too early?
Right. Now, I'm going to answer this question,
Eventually.
but, well, I don't feel I can formally answer it. I want to,
Well, give us an informal answer then.
well, I want to say, because I want to say Gabriel Knight because
Take
of the
off your evening
disappointment.
gown.
Because everyone's disappointed in The Last King's Quest, fine. And a lot of people are disappointed in The Last Quest for Glory, that's fine. But The Last Gabriel Knight, even people that really wanted it, I feel were disappointed in it. And I haven't played the last one in the series, but I know enough of it and the kind of the weirdness with the cat mustache and the kind of awkward 3D-ness that they took a game that was highly praised with amazing writing and really neat graphics, and then they changed it to an FMV game. And arguably, which one's better, the first or the second, for different reasons. You could say either one of them. But I think they really, really peaked a lot in that first game, and I'm still selling myself on the second game, but a little bit of that, and again, inauthentically that they didn't in the third game. But maybe it's like Quest for Glory. Maybe if I hadn't played the fifth one, I'd be like, oh, the series peaked too early. Look at how good the first one is. And then the fifth one just sucked. So I could be like shitting on a game that maybe graphically isn't that great, but gameplay wise is a really great story, which is, a tricky thing to think about.
Okay, so that's you reluctantly picking Gabriel Knight?
Yes.
Okay.
But I would be more than willing to have somebody write in and say, hey, look, the story in the third one is really good, and it really wrapped up the series. And, because I don't know.
I would argue that you don't like the second one enough for that to matter.
Yeah, I like the first one more than the second one, probably.
I don't know if I have an answer for this. It's really hard. Again, the adventure game series maybe that's the moral of this episode story, is that adventure game series are really inconsistent. Like they had a really hard time going from the first to the last with any sort of consistency, because I can't. Monkey Island, like by the time you get to Escape from Monkey Island, like it's so not the same thing anymore that you might even be tempted to be like, honestly, I think they just peaked at the first one. But Curse of Monkey Island is it's too good. It's too good for that to be the case. And then we have all these 2 series things. Yeah, okay, Gold Rush. There's a second Gold Rush. I can't stand to look at it. So,
but it's like the first one technically, anyway. It's like
we'll never know. I mean, unless one of us bears down and plays that motherfucker. But
I did buy it. It came with another map that is very high quality. It came with a coin that is actually weighted and very nice. It is worth getting. Just don't play the game and don't read the box.
Yeah, I mean, or do, but definitely buy it, because anybody that loves Gold Rush that much, deserves your $12, I guess.
I bought that before I met you, too. I remember.
don't know. Now I'm feeling a little bad about shitting on it to that degree, because I never did play it.
They made spelling mistakes on the big box itself. The game was not, it was rushed. It looked 7 years older than it really was. I have played it a little.
They just updated it too, because I have an app version of it on iOS, and it was and like I think even in the bug notes they were like, it's been 12 years, so we're going to touch it up a little.
Oh, it's about time. Good.
But I mean, I think I'll just speak visually. I think the Gold Rush one is peak 16-bit graphics.
It is.
And it's gorgeous, and so to see it rendered in this in very yucky 3D polygon mess was heartbreaking.
No. Not okay.
Yeah. Okay, we did it. Now we might have too many questions. So do we need to... I don't want to lose steam on this episode. You know what I'm saying? Do we need to skip any of these?
Sure. Well, we can just go through pretty quick.
All right,
which series had the best ending? Like the final entry to the series? Because this is important because it's really hard to get an ending right. It's really easy to disappoint fans or to leave people hanging or to just suck, kind of, or even not end things at all. And and I picked Grim Fandango because I feel it was a very, very complete game. Like there's a resolve to the in-game world. There's the ticket travel system gets sorted out. There's Manny ends up going off to the land of dead and he's not trapped anywhere. It just like there's all these themes that are running through the game, and it closed it ticked all the boxes. And when I left the game, I was sitting back and I'm just like, oh, good. I feel satisfied. Like, I don't even need more. I'm happy right here.
God, I hate to do this to you, but that's a great answer for what game had the best ending, but it's not a series.
No, I guess it isn't, is it? I was just like in the LucasArts family, right?
Right, yeah. Well,
that's all. I was like, there's not a lot of games with amazing endings.
Yeah, that could be a whole episode. Honestly, it's a really good point. I think we've floated that before too. How like the endings tend to lose their minds and shit. But
what would you pick?
All right, I mean, looking at the whole series, which one handed it off the best? It's Quest for Glory.
I agree.
It really is. I mean, because Quest for Glory 5 is essentially fan service, and I think that's what you should do at the end of a series. Is just give them what they want, because now they've earned the right to feel a certain degree of ownership over the IP. Like, I personally cannot stand when you see it a lot lately in Hollywood, where like a movie will completely ignore like source material and things like that, and then it'll bomb as in accordance to the degree that it didn't follow along with like The Witcher, that it didn't follow along with the IP that it took on, right? It ignores the IP's personality and why the fans like it, and then the fans don't like it, and then they blame the fans, and they're like, it's a toxic fan base. Like, no, it's your job to like the fans are allowed to hold that to a standard, and there's like this weird phenomenon, I would say, where when you create something and release it to the world, it's no longer yours. Then it's the collectives. Like, it belongs to everybody, and you can see that with Batman's a good example, because there's certain things that Batman isn't allowed to do, and if you do that, the fan base will call you out on it and be like, hey, Batman doesn't fucking just shoot people dead, man. Like, that's his whole... And like, that's just an example of what I mean by, like, eventually, if something's around long enough and is popular enough and has lots of fans, like, they become... It's a more like... It's like the IP's like a part of a stock market. It's like everybody owns it.
I like that. I'm just so happy right now that I tried my best not to put Quest for Glory in almost all these spots. And I tried to switch things up just to make it interesting. And here you are bringing me back to reality of, you know what? Quest for Glory. Shush. That's the answer.
I know. This is a twist I didn't see coming either. But yeah. Well, it's actually making me think that it's helping me understand why the series is so important to so many people. If I put aside my little bitter, I don't like RPG element glasses and just look at it this way, it is emerging as the most well thought out, consistent series, kind of by far. And there's all these, like, you would think that would land in a LucasArts camp, because they were like the more, more put like well thought, put together, polished. Like if LucasArts and Sierra were embodied in a single human, I wouldn't feel safe falling asleep while Sierra drove.
No, God, no. Oh, my God.
But if LucasArts was driving, I would doze off while they drove on the highway at speed.
I would have no problem.
We'd get to where we needed to be safely. With Sierra, it's like, man, I don't, So that being said, I'm surprised it's not a LucasArts game like Monkey Island, but Monkey Island had weird... Well, first of all, LucasArts didn't have many series. There was going to be more for Full Throttle, but that didn't happen. Sam and Max, if you wanna phone in like the Telltale, I don't think it was just Telltale, or was it even Telltale?
No, there was the Telltale, and then there was the series one they did later on. Right. That was all broken up into little series.
Yeah, if you want to connect those, then I guess Sam and Max kind of has a series, but not while it was LucasArts. Is I guess staying within my point that LucasArts themselves didn't really have a lot of series to contend with here. So I'm like looking for Monkey Island for that polish and everything, but Ron Gilbert left after the second game, and then the third game they go kind of against the whole meta side of the storytelling and just go with like a classic, guy gets the girl ending, and then all of a sudden they swing. Anyway, I guess the point is like it's surprising me that when I look around the room, I'm only really seeing Quest for Glory for consistency.
It's true.
Yeah.
And of course, the flip around being which series had the worst conclusion. And here's where I bring in my asterisk entry into this series that you have to accept. And my answer is Toonstruck, because it was meant to be more like. Have you played it yet? You still haven't played it, right?
I have. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So that's right. We did the episode. So yeah, like what happens at the end? Drew can't even, his return home doesn't even hold. Flux has a whole crisis going on. Like the whole setup was the whole place. Like the main villain's still alive. Nothing is, nothing is okay. Nothing is fixed.
Nothing's resolved.
Nothing's resolved, and they've already had the footage, and who knows whatever happened to it. But that was it. It's a series that had a terrible conclusion. Even though, because I think that I was looking at interviews and the lead designer said the follow-up would have had Drew and Flux riding the train of thought to an island in the sky, and Drew would finally be able to face his fears and fantasies, and they'd have more like carnival setting stuff. It would have been really cool.
Yeah, well, see, I feel like that works in the spirit of the episode because it is a worthy point to bring up games that were supposed to have a series and didn't, and how that affected the game, right? If they were really banking on that second Toonstruck, right, which they were, then obviously we're left,
we could have picked Torrance Passage. Technically in the same, they kind of concluded the game as such, but you can see they would have still kept going, and they kind of left a few loose threads. I wouldn't call it the worst, but it certainly felt like the beginning of something that didn't and wasn't.
Right. The fucking Phantom Fellows would be the same way. If there was no second one, then it would just be like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, no, that has hit a few people for sure.
Yeah,
that moment. Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and I will say it does feel good on a weird irrational note because, well, all right, maybe it's not that irrational because I did almost die, not being dramatic, after the first game came out. And ever since that happened, I was like, God, that was crazy back there, right? Like, what if that happened? Then I wouldn't get the chance to even, close that loop or whatever. And so it does bring me a good amount of satisfaction knowing that the next day in the Phantom Fellows 2 is done, and that is... That is all now dealt with, actually.
Yeah.
So, and it just feels good, right? Like, it's all there. Like, actually, I'll just say it now on air. If something happens to me, get that shit out to the public, Anna.
Yeah. I will make sure that everybody will get to know. It is very worth it. And it's, you know what? It's a very consistent entry in the series of the Phantom Fellows universe.
Yeah, release it in all its bugs.
Yeah. Yeah, all of it.
If need be. All right, but anyway, enough about me potentially dying and Anna releasing the rest of the game. My answer to which series had the worst conclusion is Space Quest.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Which is my answer to the next question, so I'm just going to merge it because it never got the ending it deserved.
Yeah, that's just
on top of the fact that it didn't have a good ending, it deserved a better ending.
It did. It really did. I still don't know exactly what was going on. Here's the weird conundrum. Before I say anything potentially negative, I really like Space Quest 6. Like, I really, really like it. I feel like it always comes up in the context of... Yeah, it always comes up in the context of being the last Space Quest and how maybe it didn't have the continuity with 5 that you would have expected, or, disappointments around, like, Beatrice and that whole situation. But was that her name with the hot dog forehead?
No, you're asking me.
No, Beatrice was the actual...
Beatrice was the actual, yeah.
But the hot dog forehead lady was... It doesn't matter. When we bring it up in the context of the larger series, it ends up with us both, minorly shitting on it. But the real reality is that I love Space Quest 6.
Yeah, me too. It's so detailed and funny, and it sticks in your head. But, like, literally, when did we ever get a chance to pull, like, I don't know, Starcon and Vohal and everybody together and do, like, the proper... I wanted him to find his ranks and carry on with it, but when I was younger, I didn't even notice it was inconsistent. I just thought the 6th one was a fun freaking game, and it's about time we got a new Space Quest, and why is Roger so skinny?
Right. And there is also the potential be careful what you wish for thing, because we've both seen that quick little teaser trailer for Space Quest 7, and it was in the worst polygon 3D ever, so like I don't even know if we really would have wanted that. We did get Space Venture from the two guys from Andromeda, as I'm sure most of you know, and that is available now, and one day Anna and I will play it and say words on it, but that doesn't look like that's going to retroactively give the game closure like Return to Monkey Island, for example, right? This is a new series from them with a new protagonist. So Roger's story is done and over, and it wasn't, again, it was a great game. I actually really, really liked it, and the information's super high. There's so much like really fun things to do about it. The flavor text is chef's kiss.
We're just good at being impartial because we're like that.
Yeah, but as far as like sewing up, an arc, because I guess what happens is that Roger goes through a really satisfying character arc between Space Quest 1 and 5. Mm-hmm. And then 6 completely undoes it, tinkers with a few things, and then fucks off and you never see it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn it. We probably should have just left it at 5 then. Like, I don't wish that. I really don't, because I do like 6 enough. I'm glad it exists and doesn't and all that. But it's like, it almost makes you wish Space Quest 6 like canonically took place between 4 and 5 or something that wouldn't break. You know what I mean? That was more before Roger, achieves what he achieved in 5. And anyway, all right, I've peeked out on what I can say about that. So
yeah, like it would even make more sense instead of that just to go back in time. Like, wouldn't it be fun if the series could jump in time a little bit more? You could go and do like origin stories of Larry, like get Larry through a day of school like Willie Beamish.
Right, like use Roger's time mechanics to check in on. Yeah, that would be very fun.
Yeah, I'd like stuff like that. By the way, in Future Man, that show, not only is it based on a guy that's a janitor who saves the world, but you're being chased by time police.
Oh, wow. Right.
Literally. And there is no evidence, because I bet you it is so influenced by the Space Quest series that the person who made it won't even say so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right.
Yeah.
And they kind of don't have to. Oh, this just happened. So Strum and I were watching the latest season of Gumball. For anybody out there, it's such a good show. I love the people who make Gumball, because like it's one of those rare, like, it's just, I swear it's just as fun for me as it is for him. Like they hit a like right in the pocket, man, for adults and kids alike. The Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball or whatever is the new. It used to be The Amazing World. Anyways, so that you know, I'm referencing the latest season in case anybody listening is aware of it. In the latest season, which is season 2 of Wonderfully Weird, Not Amazing, there's an episode where there's insult sword fighting. Fully. And
no way.
Yeah,
that's
there fully
funny.
is. And I don't know to what degree, but I'm like 90% sure the show is at least created by an English dude. And, Monkey Island was just fucking huge there, so that gives it even more credence, right? But no, straight up, it's like his tongue, what's that phrase? Like, you have a sharp tongue, I guess? Right, yeah. And so, like, his tongue
Your tongue is sharp, but the sword is sharper or something.
Yeah, they make his tongue like a literal sword. And then that's how they depict it at the end, where he's battling other sharp-tongued little kids, and he has to put them in his place, and so they're literally sword fighting while insulting each other.
That's hilarious.
It's really good. Yeah. I need to watch it a second time because it's a really chaotic scene. So I'm almost wondering if I listen again, like maybe there'll be an insult from Monkey Island. That's fun. That would be really nice to hear a dairy farmer joke. But anyway, whatever all that is to say that the next question is which series had the strongest identity right out of the gate?
And I'm just going to flick back to Quest for Glory immediately, because not only did it have to become its own thing within its own genre, but it had to introduce a new genre to everybody in it. So it had to have a stronger identity right off the bat than any other game would. And it really leaned into that, the humor and the mechanics and everything.
This I think is something that adventure games are good at, because I said that in a really obnoxious cadence that I didn't like. I just really annoyed myself. I want everyone out there to know that in case it pissed them off too.
Up,
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. That was oddly pretentious of me. But anyway, the adventure games seem really good at having a strong identity, because at establishing who they are. Because this is a silly first one to say, but like Echo Quest can improve on that. You get the point. You know exactly what's going on. Save the planet. Do rad shit. Lara Bow, like, you're immediately in a murder mansion. Like, it's really sets a strong identity for who Lara is. Gabriel Knight immediately sets the stage for who Gabriel is. Police Quest, same. Monkey Island, same. I'm Guybrush, I want to be a pirate or whatever. Like, they all kind of do a pretty damn good job of it. I'll just default and say Monkey Island.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. Okay, well then, the next one is which series should have stopped earlier? And for me, that's one we've already answered. King's Quest, and I'm so sorry, I love you all, and I love all of you that love King's Quest 7, but I kind of think that King's Quest could have stopped at the 6th game, and it could have, even Roberta could have done a completely separate game, like King's Quest 7 or something. Because, there is that Disney influence. They have done Disney games. It's not absolutely unheard of that they would go in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the right answer. I was going to say maybe Police Quest just to be like, I don't know.
Yeah, it should have stopped at the second one.
Yeah, right. And even if they did the third, fine. It's like, but open season's just like, it's not even the same thing anymore. Like, what are we doing here? And yeah, but I don't know. At least open season like had the decency to switch the title headline to open season, so it kind of doesn't even, you know what I mean? Whereas King's Quest, you just see King's Quest 8, and you're like, this is not King's Quest when you plug it in. Yeah. So that's the answer.
Okay.
All right, people. We only have 2 more, and
Yeah, we're so close.
Yeah. Which series deserved 1 more game? So on the contrary here.
And I have a few answers to this.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
Gold Rush, obviously, we want to see more in that line, but at the same time, it's perfect how it is. Quest for Glory, because I want more and because I have an import character. Yes, fair enough. But I believe that, see, I can't even answer this. I've just realized I don't care. I'm answering this. This goddamn game needed more games, and that's Willy Beamish.
Oh, that's a great answer. Nice.
It really did. I know it's only a single game, but it's the lead was great. He was super funny, the kid. It was like the town and school setting. I mean, you take one of the characters from Police Quest and put them in that Willy Beamish town going to the school. The tournaments, expand on it, make it so you can actually play the Atari games. Make the mini games slightly more interactive. I liked its idea of how like the whole menu system was and how it was set up. So yeah, it could have. It needed more. We need more Willy.
Yes, we do. Great answer. There was a few series that were supposed to have another game. So I'm gonna try to think those out loud to everybody real quick and give them the first chance of being considered. Loom was supposed to have a sequel.
And a lot of people are disappointed in the ending of that game.
Right, but then a lot of people vehemently aren't and really want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And there's a strong argument for that too, and I kind of actually like that argument better if I had to pick one.
Me too.
I would always kind of pick give me the game. Like I don't care that much. I'd rather just have a new Loom game, right, than actually be like, no, don't, protect the sacredity of its canon. But at the end of the day, I'd be like, yeah, actually just give me the game. Why not? But yeah, Loom should have been left there. That's fair. Full Throttle was supposed to have a second one, but it didn't need one. What else was supposed to have another? Tauren was supposed to have another, and
yeah, that one, the Toonstruck one. I don't imagine Sanitarium was pretty much open and shut. The Blackwell Chronicles was open and shut. The Ghost games, the Blackwell Epiphany and all that.
Closed off nicely.
Those actually closed off really nicely at the end of the game. I think we pretty much resolved everything. So yeah,
there's part of me that would like to see Roger have like a proper goodbye. So I'm tempted to pick Space Quest, and then if not, oh goodness, well, it just went out of my bloody mind as I was going to say it. So I guess I'm stuck with just saying Space Quest then.
More resolve to King's Quest. What happened to the kingdom? What's the follow-up on all of our favorite characters?
Oh, you know what I was going to say was Indiana Jones. Again, not because it needed one, but Indiana Jones just lends itself so perfectly to adventure games. It's like adventure games are the perfect way to experience an Indiana Jones story.
Yeah.
And I trust them to have done a really good one because I think Fate of Atlantis is way better written than the last 2 movies were.
It's what made me get into watching the movies in the first place. If it wasn't for the game, I never would have all been up into Harrison Ford and all the other stuff. So
Yeah, all right. So whatever I just said is those answers. Last one. I like this one. How much can a series change before it no longer feels like the same series?
Which is great because we've kind of been alluding to this idea throughout the episode. King's Quest, Police Quest, Gabriel Knight, all Space Quest. Like Space Quest didn't change as much because it didn't go into the realm of 3Ds. Like, even if the storyline might have been inconsistent, I think Space Quest stayed the same all the way through. But some of the ones that did the heavy graphics changing or completely changed who their main character is, like in King's Quest, that changes so much that it doesn't feel like the same game, the same series, or the same anything.
Yeah. So I guess the answer is kind of a lot. It seems like we're willing to put up with a lot, but as we alluded to earlier, also these series all have one thing in common, which is this struggle to stay consistent. So I guess to a degree we were conditioned to accept a lot of inconsistencies and such.
Which is good for us because in life, everything's going to change. And as soon as you get used to it, it's going to change again. And I've always been so accepting of change, even positive or negative. And I've often thought that adventure games are a big part of that training. And maybe this is helping me understand why.
Nice. That's quite lovely. Yeah. All right. I don't know what to answer. This question was inspired by just thinking of Gabriel Knight 2 and Monkey Island 3, Curse of Monkey Island, because they're so radically different. Gabriel Knight's an interesting, I guess, little study in this whole idea, because the first game is pixel art, the second game is FMV, and the third game is polygons. Sorry for Strummer in the background, everyone. He's just super stoked about something in VR. But I believe he's spelunking.
Oh, you might have found some gold.
Yeah, he told me that. I'm like, dude, you didn't even hit puberty yet. What are you talking about? And then I learned that that's actually just exploring a cave.
You can, yeah. Okay, anyway.
Right, yeah. And then I was like, once again, you're not in puberty yet.
Yeah.
But, because caves can be vaginas, is that.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, no worries.
No, I'm sure
I
there's
find
at
that
least...
explaining jokes makes them funnier.
It does, especially for like all the underage, like the 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds that are listening to our show, waiting to snicker but not catching the reference.
Yeah, exactly. Let me in your mossy gulch.
By the way, that's an address in the Phantom Fellows for if you
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't catch that reference, then go play the game.
I wasn't even saying as a reference. It's just
What?
my go-to gross. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's a very crucial address actually. Things happen there.
There's a lot of mossy gulches around here.
Yeah, I know your game better than you.
You do. Yeah, you really do. So anyway, a game can change a whole lot and still feel like it, because we were conditioned to accept it this way. Like we already said earlier, too, with the graphics. That whole long spiel I won't make you guys listen to again, where it's like we went from AGI to SCI and 16 colors to 250. Like we at no point did things ever really stay the same. To be able to have the luxury of noticing it as different. So there you go. My answer is no answer.
Okay, so that just about wraps everything up, other than a couple of things that I want to say to everybody. For one, we are working hard on the next Phantom Fellow entries, just because you've heard us talking about it here and there to tease you. Things have been moving. There will be things to show sooner rather than later for some things, and then later rather than sooner for others. Is that intriguing, Paul? Should that get them intrigued?
I hope so. A big announcement is coming soon.
Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so do that, and then throw down a review, play the game, do a stream.
Because that all those words start to blend into just us asking for stuff. And I know when I listen to podcasts, I am tuned out at that point. But if you could leave a review, if you own the game and you haven't, and it would be a positive review, on GOG or Steam, both of them could really quite use reviews. I would really, really appreciate it. Even I think on Steam you can even just like press the thumbs up thing, anything like that. It helps with the visibility and the blah blah blah. So reviews, please.
Yes, that would be good.
That was an Oliver Twist porridge sort of thing at the end.
Please, sir, can I have some more reviews?
Yeah, that's it.
More? You want more? Yes, very nice. Good reference.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And thank you to all of our Patreons, every single one of you, whether you've joined, whatever tier that you in, all of you are amazing.
Yeah,
it's so motivational to see that y'all are there and kind of rooting us on by the sidelines in any way, and any little messages you give us and things that you write just means so much.
It does. We talk about every one of them. We join in our little Discord, and any comments left on videos, stuff like that. It's quite an honor, honestly, to that you care enough to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you also to everybody in the True Believer tier, Gareth, Mick, Jeffrey, Mark, Brian, Chapman, Christopher, Yanis, and Tim. Thank you for believing in us so much so that, you've upped it to the true believer tier. Now, I wonder, Jeffrey, you actually, okay, I see. Show supporter, but you pay us more than that per month. Is that tricky? Should I not be saying your name? Okay, I understand. That makes sense. I wonder, you ever want anything other than us just saying your name? Let us know. I've had a few people.
What are you offering?
Mention other things. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. But yes.
Oh, Robin, I want to say to Robin. Robin asked
Yes.
this question about MT32 emulation.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
And what it sounds like compared to the real thing, and it's really hard to answer because my real MT32 setup is in disproportionately good speakers connected to oddly good speakers like these Rocket studio monitors. So it just sounds unbelievable. It sounds so good, so shockingly good and bassy and just man. And then when I'm emulating MT32, it's just like on my little dinky laptop speakers because I'm playing ScumVM, but playing a game, playing Torin with my kid or whatever. Like it's not. Which is also funny because 99% of the time I'm playing Scum with emulated MT32 through dinky laptop speakers, and then like 1% of the time am I actually downstairs with the real MT30. Like I never ever am. It's one of those things that like every time my real MT32 is on, I'm probably just recording it or taking a picture showing that it's being used as opposed to like playing an adventure game. But anyway, so it is hard to answer because the real ones are played through such better speakers, and I don't know, after you like physically connect them with auxiliary cables and like you just have this whole tactical sensation behind it, and you've turned it on and you see the insert Buckazoid thing on the LED, like it's such a entire experience that it's always going to be biased towards choosing it as the better of the two. That being said, I'm pretty sure that the emulation sounds like really bang on. Like really, 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 really bang on. Because, I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, it is just like the MT32 as a physical unit still reduces down to a silicon chip. And these things are, after a while, replicable through emulation. So it's probably the same. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And thank you also to Death Defying Brian for writing us and working with us on some questions I had with Discord and just participating in discussion about the episodes on Facebook and in other places. It's always a joy to hear your point of view, and I really appreciate that. So, yeah, thanks. Thanks for being awesome.
Let me slap a samesies on there.
And so you want to chat with us? Don't do a murder@gmail.com. That's a thing. That's our email. We've been getting them and potentially even answering some of them. So you can definitely do that. You can find us allegedly. You can find us on Facebook. We're a page and we're a group, the Classic Gamers Guild. Join, answer the questions. It's kind of fun, just find out. Otherwise, we're on the Twitters, and that's at the Phantom Fellows and the Classic. And the Classic Gamers Guild CGG podcast. So all of the socials, we're out there. Find us, say hi, ask your Google speakers to find us. It knows where we are too. That's it. That's all I got.
Don't do murder.
Hi there, and thanks for listening. Hope fuck.
Are you going to say you hope they're doing good?
Yeah,
Man.
Stupid. Hi there, and thanks for listening. I'm here with Paul. I keep getting
They'd
stuck
only
on
been
that.
listening for like a second at that point.
Yeah.
You're already thanking them. Thanks for listening to me say hi there. You're really sticking with it. We appreciate that.
Anna and Paul here. I could do that, right?
Yeah, it's just all news bulletin. Anna and Paul here, coming in hot live from the scene.
I could do that. That would work. I could do that. I'm going to try that. Okay. Hey there. Thanks for listening. Anna and Paul here to talk about, shocker, adventure games.